So someone just sent me a screenshot of a Reddit post about the David Celeste Rivas Hernandez case that I want to share with you guys. While I don't 100% believe this is true, I do think that it's possible, and I do want to piggyback off of some of the stuff that they're talking about. So they write, I still very firmly believe that Celeste was unalived on or near January 2nd, 2025. David's posts right around January 2nd and 3rd were so sad. The songs he tagged in his IG posts were all about the death of a loved one, as we've discussed prior. On January 2nd and January 3rd, David posted pictures to both his IG and Twitter. These pictures are in a nature/beach location, and I can say with 98.5% certainty that these pictures were taken in the Santa Barbara area, more specifically the Montecito area. They say, I believe it is very likely that David could have disposed of Celeste's body initially in the San Istro Creek area, which is a remote location in the Santa Barbara area, and they believe that David marked the area with a high on a rock, which is something that he posted a photo of, which conveniently enough, if you flip the picture upside down, is Celeste's age, 1/4/14. They believe that at some point months later, David realized that he exposed this location publicly, so he ends up going back there to move her body. And they believe that this is what LAPD is talking about when they're referencing a trip that David took in the middle of the night to a remote area of Santa Barbara County. Now, would it have been easier for him to just delete the photos from his IG? Probably. Would it have been easier for him to just dispose of her somewhere else in that area than put her in the front of his Tesla? Definitely. So I'm not fully on board with believing this 100%, but like I said, I do want to piggyback off of this because the timeline, and I think these photos are very telling. So we know that at this very moment, that the last known photo of Celeste Rivas Hernandez alive is January 2nd, 2025. January 2nd, 2025 also happens to be when David posts this picture to his IG, Extra David. And as you can see, the caption is in Japanese. When you translate it, the caption means death by smoking. January 3rd, David posts this photo on that same IG account. Again, the caption is in Japanese that translate to my sight is beautiful. January 5th, we have another photo, again with a Japanese caption, which translates to not my best work, but I meditated here today. And then he takes a little bit of a posting break on this account and comes back on January 28th, 2025 with this post right here in English saying, I've been abhorrently sad as of late, which is why I haven't been inspired to post on here in a while. But I went to the beach with my friend this morning and it made me feel better. So one, why is David sad in January of 2025 around the same time period that Celeste seemingly vanishes off the face of the earth? 1.5, why is David seemingly alone in a remote area of California for what appears to be a few days on end? And 2, why is David speaking in Japanese on these photos around this specific time period? Some people believe that this is him acting as his alter ego Itami, which means pain in Japanese. Remember, David said that Itami is the evil version of himself and refers to this dynamic between David and Itami as a split personality. Now, this specific photo right here of the water and the trees and stuff reminded me of something that I did over the summer. I was hiking and ended up walking into a natural cave. Now, if you guys have ever been inside of a cave, you know that they are super cold. They're actually referred to as nature's air conditioner. They maintain a stable, cool temperature all year round, despite how hot it is outside. So I ended up Googling to see if there are any caves in California, and there are. Now, if David was aware of certain areas of California that have caves and that also lack foot traffic, could he have put Celeste's body in a cave? According to what I looked into, a body being placed in a cave where there is a stable, cool temperature that slows down the biological process of decay. If the cave is relatively dry and lacks a high percentage of moisture, that would prevent decay and could lead to the mummification of a body. And remember what this medical examiner report allegedly says, according to sources, that Celeste's body was mummified. But it also notes that she was severely decomposed and that her fingers were waterlogged. So is it possible that Celeste passed away in January of 2025? She was placed somewhere where her body began mummifying. She was then picked up for whatever reason and moved, maybe to a colder, damp environment where her body that was beginning to mummify had had access to moisture again. So ultimately, when she was found in David's Tesla in the bag, she was mummified, but also had waterlogged fingers because she was once in an environment that was dry and then ultimately moved to an environment that was cold and wet. Just some thoughts that I'm putting together, not saying that this is true, not saying that this is what happened, but just based on observations, I'm trying to come to my own conclusions. And something that I remember from the Idaho 4 case is the judge saying you can't think of rational things when you are dealing with such irrational situations. But nonetheless, I do think that LAPD does have more evidence and more information than we, the public, are aware of, obviously. And I think that that is shown through the fact that they were able to present this case to an investigative grand jury. What do you guys think of this? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you guys are following me. We're going to keep talking about Celeste. We're going to keep advocating for her until an arrest or arrests are made and justice is served.